And hello and welcome to this week's Bad Bookers Wrestling Podcast. We have a name, guys, finally!
Hey.
Once again, my name's Smoothman. We also have Chris, Jack and Matt. Say hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Yes. So, this episode is called Road to Mania Part 1. So, as a collective, we've kind of come up with the idea that we're going to spend the next 4 episodes looking at different WrestleMania moments in history, give ourselves a bit of a kind of G up before WrestleMania, and then get ourselves also getting into the weekly rundowns as we prepare for the grandest stage of them all. God, I should work for WWE.
Yes, you should.
All you need to do is point at a sign now, you'll be sorted.
There we go. So, if we start off with obviously predictions, and we hand over to Jack. Jack's got the list in front of him.
Well, it was very interesting. It couldn't have gone worse, really, because we all drew somehow.
So it's a no
amazing.
contest. So no contest. Nothing has to happen, right?
Nothing. No. Unless we all do a forfeit, or none of us do a forfeit.
I think it's going to be none of us this time,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Or should we tweet vacant on Twitter and say you are currently the Bad Bookers prediction holder, and do that?
Or we could put it to a poll and then say whoever gets the most votes has to do the forfeit.
Well, we all know who's going to get that one.
Oh, that's not fair.
Everybody who hates Nakamura, or
It's interesting because it all came down to the pre-show match, Chris. Because if you actually made a result and got it right, which you would have done, you would have won.
Oh no!
and if I wasn't an
Never
absolute
turned
idiot,
up.
And if Smoothen didn't
if I
pick Ziggler,
didn't pick Ziggler, I would have won potentially.
we'll go through the results anyway. Me and Matt had Mojo, Shelton, and Gable in the pre-show. Smoothman had Ty Dillinger and Breezango. Obviously, Breezango and Ty Dillinger won. No one cares.
Obviously, but I do. 'Cause I won.
I care
So-
now. Obviously, I wish I.
You care now, obviously. We then had Nakamura and Rusev. Nakamura went over Rusev. Not yet, Matt. Not yet. The fans aren't ready.
Hold off.
Nakamura, 2 Kinshasas, and put Rusev away. What do we have after that? It was the US title match, wasn't it?
Yeah, Bobby Roode, Randy
Bobby
Orton.
Roode and Orton. Randy Orton won. Chris was the only person to have that. Everyone else had
Yay!
Bobby Roode.
You were all wrong.
We then had the tag team match.
Naomi Becky versus Carmella.
Naomi Becky. We all had Naomi and Becky Lynch, and the heels won. Carmella and Natalia won. We then had the tag team match with the Usos and New Day. Ended in a new contest. No contest.
Technically, a new
After
contest,
the Bludgeon
actually.
Brothers decimated, to say the least, everyone in the match. So that ended in a no contest. We all went for Usos anyway. We then had Charlotte and Ruby Riott. We all had Charlotte. That was pretty obvious. And then Asuka obviously came out to challenge Charlotte at WrestleMania. We'll move on to that at some point.
I called that.
You did.
Well, hang on.
And then,
Wasn't
hang on.
there a stipulation in somewhere about Asuka turning up?
Wasn't there a what?
Or was that something else? I don't know.
If
I was
there
thinking
is, I will put it in the edit now.
Okay.
I'm just gonna assume there wasn't, because that means I've got to listen back to the last podcast and find out, and I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
No.
I'm sure someone said if Asuka turns up, they get an extra point or something. I don't know.
Not sure.
No, I argued with Kev in his stream that John Cena wouldn't take the pin.
That was
And
it.
obviously I was right and Kev was wrong, so I'll get on him on Thursday.
I thought there was something like that. I just didn't know if it was us guys or the streams.
Okay.
Sorry, I interrupted.
Anyway, the last match, the main event, AJ Styles obviously retained the title. Me and Matt were the only 2 to have AJ. Chris went with Cena, and the less said about Smoothman, the better.
Fair.
And yeah, it all finished. We all got 3 points out of 7. Pretty average.
I respect you, Smoothman, for going for Ziggler. That was a gutsy move. At least Cena's
Yeah,
one
but-
had like reason behind it.
Yeah, well, mine did. Just really terrible.
All the wrong reasons.
Yeah. I suppose.
Was it the reason that we've never had anybody from the Spirit Squad in a WrestleMania match yet? So we need it as the main event of Mania needs to be somebody from the Spirit Squad.
Is that actually
No.
true?
That
See,
wasn't
'cause
my
he's
idea.
never. That was one of his promos, wasn't he? He's never been in a singles match at Mania.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's why I
Which
saw it.
surprised me.
Maybe,
Oh, well.
but
Cry some more. Moving on.
as a show, what do we think?
I thought it was really good.
It's all right.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was. Obviously, it's a fast lane. It's going to be predictable because they're not going to swerve anyone too much.
Well, we proved that wrong with our predictions.
Yeah, it's predictable.
We're just probably just really bad, really
Yeah.
bad. But it was. They still did enough to. It was definitely the best fast lane ever, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. I think there was many things in there that were excellent. I thought the Usos and New Day, I thought Bludgeon Brothers looked ridiculously good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The fact that you've got the Usos and New Day in that already, and we'll come on to how it's developed since then. But I just thought, wow, Xavier Woods selling that injury as well. I thought, is he dead? In a small building? I thought, and then I did see something on Twitter, which wasn't PG, about how it's probably not the best thing on the internet where he's sold something very well or
Oh
acted
dear.
or something like that. And I thought, oh, no.
Oh dear.
So,
There was a picture on Twitter of the Bludgeon Brothers standing on the steps over Xavier Woods, and I love that because they're finally knowing how to book monsters, and we'll move on to Nia Jax when we get to Raw.
yeah,
But I have some very harsh feelings about how not to book a monster
yeah,
on
I
that
agree.
one.
But we'll get to that later. I think throughout, I thought as we said in the last podcast, the Naomi match was just toilet break. It was filler.
Yeah.
I'm not liking Carmella at all, and it's something that I can't get on board with. Her screaming.
No one's
and yelling.
excited. No one's excited for the cash in.
I'm disappointed that they got rid of Ellsworth because that was actually quite a good dynamic with Carmella and Ellsworth together, where Ellsworth's the valet. It worked well, and it was a proper dickish heel move for Ellsworth to climb the ladder and get the briefcase and throw it down to Carmella. Props for the catch, by the way, on that. That looked pretty badass, but like it was just. I just lost all sort of. Carmella's just meh. What else can you say? It's just
I know.
She's supposedly a heel, but she's just irritating more than acting as a heel, so to say.
Yeah, I just
no one's invested in it.
No.
She's gonna cash it in. She's gonna. Oh, damn it! She's gonna mess it up. Yes. Of course I was the person to bitch about swearing, and then I'm the first person to do it. Brilliant. Well done, me. Oh,
that's just good looking. Yeah, there was so many things about. I think there was, in my opinion, there was more things that frustrated me about Fastlane than things that were good. Like the opening, where it's like the big kind of this is Fastlane, and they had phone promo after phone promo after phone promo, and I was just like, "Are you doing?" I was like, "Are you
got to
doing
get the
this
selfie sticks out. Come on."
Yeah.
They're the
I was like-
WWE. I'm pretty sure they can afford an actual camera on a tripod. Sorry.
all right.
I literally was sat there going, they're doing this on purpose to annoy me.
The one thing I did find really irritating was the amount of Raw promos that was going on was horrendous. The amount of Ronda Rousey promos and stuff like that was boring. It's a Smackdown show. We don't need to see Raw.
I get it, but at the same time, it's the same reason why in the pre-show match they have an advert break to try and push it towards the network. They know that more people are going to watch this than would watch a normal Raw or Smackdown, so they need to get the Ronda Rousey push in to get as many people as possible excited for Mania.
Oh yeah, I get that, but you need to keep the suspension of disbelief. At the end of the day, that there are two separate brands. They are, they are jostling to become the number one brand. You don't need promotion of the other brand. It does get on my nerves when I see it. It's like,
And the fact that we saw that Ronda Rousey promo, I think 2 or 3 times.
Oh, great!
I was going to say, I thought it was 3 or 4. It was just all the bloody time.
There's just no need for it.
I think we're going to get to a point at this time where we're all every week going to be moaning about this issue, because I don't think it's going away. They are going to plug Raw on SmackDown. They're going to plug SmackDown on Raw because we need to make money.
They need to make money, but like Chris says, just no needs. Like they're rival brands.
Yeah, agreed.
Indeed. Randy Orton, what do you think to his win?
I'm happy because I got it. It did good for me in predictions.
I was bored. I was waiting for Jinder Mahal for the entire match, and then the match dragged, and then Mahal came out afterwards instead. I think by showing Jinder Mahal in his ring attire rather than in the suit that he'd been in on the pre-show, it killed all of the suspense of whether he was going to interfere. 5 minutes into the match.
I'm not invested in United States title at all.
I haven't been for a while.
It's really annoying because if you look at last year, we all obviously had Jericho and Kevin Owens fighting for the United States title, and that was like the most well done thing on wrestling at the time. Now it's just I'm not invested. I don't particularly like Randy Orton. I think he's a bit bland. Bobby Roode as a face is bland. It's just things need to be done, and they're not going to be done anytime soon, I don't think.
There's some controversy. That's the point. There's no controversy with it. I mean, Jinder, no one gives a toss about him anyway. That's the point. I don't see why you're injecting him into a feud that's. I get the whole idea is I presume they're trying to inject a new dynamic into the feud, but they're two faces. What's the point? Unless you're going to turn Orton heel.
And they're two bland faces as well.
Look, Orton needs to be heel. Orton working face is just not right. It's just
weird.
I know. And his hair, his hair annoys me as well. It does. It really does. Because it's got that sort of weird sort of Wayne Rooney hair implant thing along the top. It looks weird. Don't like it.
I never thought about that until now.
You're never going to be able to look properly again.
No, that's it.
Wayne Orton.
Oh, God.
I don't think they bigged up the Grand Slam champion thing either. It was
not particularly. They did a little bit on SmackDown, didn't they? But it's not particularly. I think that's the only reason why they put it on him. That he'll lose it again at Mania, probably. They'll just say
they not pushed it because Sheamus has won more different things than he has, and they kind of would have to make a big deal out of that.
Probably.
The fact that he's never won a King of the Ring, whereas Sheamus has, and therefore, if you go and that's he's really good because he's now won loads of different things. You've got to say, well, actually, he still hasn't won a King of the Ring, so he's not as good as Sheamus. And at that point, you're going, it kind of kills that aura around it.
Yeah, but what exact prestige has King of the Ring actually got these days?
Nothing.
But it's brought every time people talk about Sheamus as a singles wrestler rather than as part of Dabar, then
nice. I like that.
Yeah, it's brought up every single time that he's won King of the Ring, he's won Money in the Bank, he's won the or whatever the championships were back when he was a singles wrestler, he's won them all. So if you're going to go for Randy Orton being great because he's won everything, you've kind of got to say, well.
And I think it's also not been mentioned that much because the amount of time he's been in WWE and he's only just done this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. When did Shawn Michaels do it? But he did it with the European, didn't he?
Yeah, I'm not too sure.
God, before my time, mate.
Way before my time.
Yeah.
Really not too sure.
Smooth me. You are a resident old WWF fan.
I know. This is weird. I'm probably one of the young whippersnappers normally. But, where do we get to? Let's talk women's title, or SmackDown women's title to be specific.
Let's.
I made a massive note about this, and I watched this with my wife, and she literally says, "Why are they screaming?" And I was like, "What?" And she was like, and she had a valid point because
Yeah.
she said to me, "They're trying to big up this big idea of women's wrestling is good, but they have them screaming like little spoiled brats."
I've got my views on that. The exact same reason, but I'll leave it for the Naomi Carmella match for SmackDown.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna say anything just yet.
It's the same as they always any heel woman who pins somebody and they kick out after the 2 count has a tantrum like a 3-year-old child every single week. And it's, again, if you're trying to promote women's wrestling as something, a little bit different, it's fine to have it once every sort of like 6 or 7 weeks, but every single heel that goes for that gets kicked out of a 2 count throws a tantrum like a small child.
Or
and
have
again,
a character. Or have a character that has that defined, like Christian did a few years ago, or however many years ago. So we're talking like late Attitude Era and early sort of whatever the next one was, Ruthless Aggression, I think, where whenever he loses, he throws in, or he's whether he loses or whether he just sort of quote unquote loses it in the middle of a match, and then he throws a full on tantrum. I
that's
agree with
fine,
it that way,
but it just happens too often. Bliss does it all the time, and you've seen all of them have done it at one time or another, and it's just annoying.
Yeah,
Mandy Rose is doing it a lot at the moment. Carmella's doing it a lot at the moment.
Yeah,
you get
all
Natalia.
the blonde heel wrestlers.
Yeah, effectively.
Except Charlotte.
Yeah,
except
exactly.
But she's not heel though, is she?
Not at the moment, no.
At the moment,
yeah.
I thought the actual match was.
I thought it was a decent match. It was. Yeah. It made Ruby Riott look quite strong.
She's still very rusty though.
Still very green, but it made her look really strong.
I just don't like the Riot Squad.
Yeah, the other two I'm not too keen on.
I'm not invested in it at all.
No.
I have this kind of big bugbear about, is it... I don't even know her name properly. Is it Logan? Sarah Logan?
Sarah Logan, yeah.
Yeah.
What did she do in NXT? I think she wrestled a jobber match and she was the jobber. I think.
I mean, I'm sure she's had a few matches on NXT, but nothing that's put her into like the main event picture, not like Ember Moon or what was her, like Nikki Cross, people like that who are in effect main event on NXT.
And then you've got the two. Sorry, go on.
I was going to say, surely the reason she was picked was because she looked the same as they had to make Absolution and the Riot Squad look the same as having the goth, the former UFC fighter, and the blonde bimbo. So they had to pick somebody who looked like that, which neither Nikki Cross or Emma Moon do, and therefore they didn't get the call up, whereas she did.
I think why. If you pick someone like Peyton Royce and Billie Kay,
iconic duo,
who are excellent at being heels, they don't get a lot of wrestle time. I think that they injured or something at the moment, but on NXT they are excellent. They are causing havoc in the performance center and just abusing people. Yes, I know they do the screamy stuff once in a while, but they have more credibility with the fans than you would Liv Morgan or Logan.
I think they just picked 3 for the Riot Squad anyway. They picked 3 women's wrestlers that weren't doing anything. It was either get rid of them or move them up to the main roster into a storyline. Because they weren't going to win the NXT title when Ember Moon and at the time Asuka was around. They weren't
going to get the storyline eventually because we haven't had one yet.
Maybe.
Dana Brooke again. I keep saying, I said it last time. It's like Dana Brooke. It's why? Why is she why is she even on the main roster in any way? It's basically the same sort of thing. Just promoting for no reason. Don't give them a storyline. Just plop them there and just see what they do. Why? Send them back to NXT. Give them some more experience. Dana Brooke needs more ring experience to actually show some proper credibility before she can go up to the main roster. Personally,
well, she's now the analytics for the Titus
World.
It's just dumb.
But yeah, I kind of agree. I think it was Jack who said he's a decent, okayish match. But again, Ruby Riott very rusty. I don't like Riot Squad, therefore I don't feel as invested. But now that Asuka's involved, I think we won't see the Riot Squad between now and Mania.
Yeah, I mean, it was basically just a platform for Charlotte to come to the rings for a particular reason, have a match. That she could have had a match against anybody on the SmackDown roster, and it would have ended the same way. They'd have had the finish, and then Asuka would have come down, not talked, pointed at the sign, and then gone away again. It was
essentially.
Yeah, it was just a bit meh.
Still wasn't a bad match though.
Yeah, it was an all right match, but I mean, you weren't invested in it, and you knew what the outcome was before they even got in the ring.
Yeah, but that's pretty much the entirety of the pay-per-view, excusing our shoddy predictions. But yeah, I realise I just invalidated my own argument. But like the format of it was pretty straightforward. Everyone sort of knew AJ was going to win. I mean, I went for Cena, but I thought that it'd be a bit of a change because why not? And everyone knew Charlotte was going to win. And the sort of important matches, like the title ones, that none of those just gave a toss about.
Yeah, I guess so.
Should we move on to the 6-pack challenge before we move into the rest of the week?
Did we actually talk about the opening match at all?
No.
We skimmed over it.
We skimmed over it. Sorry, Matt.
That's fine.
Go on then.
I feel like you only asked that to get some anger out of your system.
I didn't remember ranting about Eric and
Go on, Rusev versus Shinsuke. What did you think of the match, Matt?
I'm sorry, but even if we just break it down, and I basically, as these guys all know, I'm not a fan of Shinsuke Nakamura, but just go and watch a 2-minute clip. I think it was about 4 minutes into the match where Rusev and Shinsuke were in a hole together. I can't remember. One of them had the other one in a headlock, and then they got reversed. And to get out of it, they were supposedly kneeing each other in the stomach. And Shinsuke Nakamura was basically humping Rusev's hip. His knee was a good 1.5 feet away from Rusev. So when the impact was made, it was the upper thigh and his groin. It's so far away from what strong style is, the way that WWE do it. And even the stuff where he's running at high speed, you can see him look towards the ropes to try and work out where he needs to land so that he doesn't land how he used to do it when he was in New Japan. Everything about this strong style in the WWE is just a little bit off. And it's just like, I know I've seen New Japan matches where they cave each other's faces in. I've seen UFC where they cave each other's faces in. In this, you watch what they're doing and you can see what they're doing differently so that they don't cave each other's faces in because Vince doesn't want that. And it just means that every time Nakamura gets in the ring, nothing that he does looks like it's going to hurt anyone. And it's just so off-putting. He managed to do a snapmare takedown, which I think the first wrestling move he's pulled off since he's been on the main roster. The last time he tried to do a wrestling move, he dropped John Cena on his neck and nearly killed him.
Yes,
Matt, I actually agree with you.
No, I know. You make a very valid point. I mean, I get the feeling your argument's not with Shinsuke the wrestler; it's with WWE's portrayal of "quote unquote" strong style.
That's exactly it. It's just I don't mind strong style in the right situation, especially in New Japan, looks brutal. In WWE, it looks naff and wet and boring.
Now, I'm hoping that whoever's going to be the agent for this match at WrestleMania gives AJ and Nakamura free reign to do whatever the hell they like.
They won't, though.
But they should. They really should.
I think I put it on Twitter that it would be really bad for business if they didn't have it as a New Japan match.
It would. It has to be because that's sort of in theory what they're building it as. So to those guys, they've got to do it that way, surely.
I think it'll be brilliant.
It will be. I think one of the very few 5-star matches you'll see, certainly in a WrestleMania. Bloody hell! But that's what it could be. It could potentially be that good.
The only time Nakamura looks like he's hurting his opponent is when he's doing those Daniel Bryan yes kicks where the guy's on the knees and he's kicking them in the chest and in the arm, because at that point he's allowed to kick as hard as he likes because he's kicking muscle rather than bone into bone, and that looks violent.
I do have another thing to mention
Doesn't look violent
with this, and it pisses me off. I can get away with saying pisses me off. Whenever Shinsuke does his Kinshasa, as Corey Graves shouts it, Kevin Dunn, i.e. the guy in the production truck and in charge of the camera monitoring, puts it to a different camera at the exact moment the knee is supposed to hit, so it doesn't look authentic in any way. It's so frustrating, the amount of camera cuts that happen during striking an opponent or during a move, or just keep the camera on a thing that's happening, because we're not going to see it. It frustrates me a lot. Whenever you see the Kinshasa, you see the camera change at the exact moment the knee strike hits, so then it will flip to another camera angle. So then it doesn't look like, in theory, it looks like it's hit to an extent, but you don't actually see the reaction of it from the body because it's in the process of switching from one camera to another.
Yeah, I totally agree. They just need to let the wrestlers sell it. If they let the wrestlers sell it, then maybe it would look all right. But at the moment, like you say, they make it so obvious that whenever there's some form of strike, it's the same with AJ Styles' is phenomenal forearm.
Yeah.
If you notice, then more often than not, as he's about to hit the guy in the face, they'll cut the camera angle, and by the time the angle has properly come round, the other fella's on the floor.
Yeah.
They make it obvious, and it takes away from.
I blame
anything.
I blame Kevin Dunn and his teeth.
Painful.
That's because they've obviously watered down the Kinshasa quite a lot, because there was that time in NXT, I think it was Takeover Brooklyn, him and Samoa Joe, and I think he broken or dislocated Samoa Joe's jaw, didn't he?
Something
and I think after that he they said to him, you can't hit it.
It was the same reason Samoa Joe's not allowed to do the Muscle Buster anymore.
Yeah, pretty much. And
I know he destroyed. So who did he destroy doing that?
The Tyson Kidd.
I was Tyson Kidd, wasn't it? Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Rip.
He had I don't know what the injury was, but it was like the doctors were like only a few % of people survive it.
Yeah, I was reading about.
And he was lucky enough to walk away.
Yeah, he was 5% of people survived the surgery or the injury and the surgery afterwards.
Yeah,
and he's
walking.
Yeah. He's living.
So obviously, like Matt said, they've watered down a lot of Nakamura stuff from NXT and New Japan, and this is the reason why I think the WrestleMania match against AJ will be a New Japan style match, because no one would expect it, and it will be a bona fide 5-star straight away, or a 7-star nowadays, as Meltzer gives out.
Oh God!
And
also the fact that AJ's made of rubber, you can't hurt him. I mean, the amount of he lands so awkwardly all the time, yet he walks away like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm convinced he's made of rubber.
Yeah, because every time people chuck him up in the air, he always lands on his kidneys.
He lands,
and it's
so
just like
awkwardly.
Any normal person, their kidneys would just blow out.
Yeah,
and he's there like flying around 2 seconds afterwards. It's like, what the hell's going on?
The freak. Moving on. Are you done with your Nakamura situation, Matt? I mean, honestly,
yeah.
you make very, very valid points. I thought you just didn't like Nakamura, but
no, not
fair
at all.
enough.
Like I say, strong style is great to watch in New Japan. I quite like watching UFC, so I know what somebody looks like when they're trying to punch somebody or kick somebody or knee somebody in the face.
Yes,
and just the way that your moves have to change to do it the WWE style. Just take you totally out of that suspension of disbelief, and it then becomes a choreography routine rather than a wrestling match.
Yeah,
that's fair. Yeah. So 6-pack challenge now. I think that's where we're at now, isn't it?
Yeah. Before I was rudely interrupted.
Apologies.
I did like that. I liked the match. I really did. I really did.
It was great. I thought it was a great match.
Chaos.
They obviously have to make everyone look strong in a multi-man match.
They made Baron Corbin look ridiculously good. And I
Baron Corbin's really underrated. I really like him.
Yes,
he's got his signatures and his finisher His signature, his deep six and end of days look really strong. And they just mess him about booking wise.
Yeah.
Honestly, the deep
Yeah,
six
actually, okay.
on a smaller opponent looks absolutely brutal.
Yeah.
And I love it.
I'll give
They're
you
two
that.
of the best looking moves, I think, in WWE right now.
He is far better than he's booked. Every single time he's booked, he loses, has a hissy fit, and then has to be escorted out of the arena. Every single time he's in a multi-man match where there's, more than just that going on, and it just makes his characters too samey. We've seen that skit he did in the Elimination Chamber at the Royal Rumble 4 weeks earlier, and it just made me really not care about him. Not Chamber, what was it? Sorry, the stuff that he did at the Rumble, he did in the last Elimination Chamber. I know it's a while ago, but you see that kind of thing from him all the time, where he gets in a hissy fit, punches a load of people, does his finishing move to a load of people. But
like on the outside, and then
he's always already out of the match, and at that point, what he's doing is pointless. They need to just book him strong if they're going to book him strong, rather than building him up and then killing him off.
They won't book him strong though because of how much of a loose cannon he is outside of TV.
But that's what's so good. That works to his character.
I know, but
he gets punished for it.
He wasn't happy, was he? He stripped him. He pretty much. That's why he didn't cash in properly. And
but then this is what like people. Obviously, kayfabe's pretty much dead nowadays. But at least he's still trying to be that guy on Twitter.
Yeah, man. Got to keep it kayfabe.
Be a dick, basically, on Twitter. And I don't know. I think he's really underrated. I really like him.
Mm.
And there are 5 other men in the match. I think we should move on to those.
Yeah.
Just before we do, I think Baron Corbin's mess about on Twitter is why Carmella's Money in the Bank run has gone the way it has, because I think
probably
they wanted to have the first women's Money in the Bank cash in to go wrong, but they don't want to do that now that the man has already cashed in and failed, and they're trying their best to work out a place for her to cash it in and
she should
win.
lose it. She should be put in a match where but before Money in the Bank or the next Money in the Bank, Shane should go to her, right, you haven't cashed it in. You need to cash it in before this point. If you don't, then you will be putting up your Money in the Bank briefcase against XYZ other wrestlers, and then lose it to them. Lose it to someone out of that.
Well, the idea is that they get the Money in the Bank for contract for a year, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
When is Money in the Bank?
So,
when is the Money in the Bank pay-per-view?
Isn't it
3
after Backlash?
So it's not that long.
No, it's in two pay-per-views time.
Jeez.
That's right.
But aren't they doing it combined now? Aren't they doing aren't all the pay-per-views going to like not
joint
defined?
pay-per-views,
Yes, which they should be.
Yeah, there's also rumours that not only is it going to be Raw and SmackDown, but they're all the pay-per-views are going to be 4 or 5 hours long.
Oh my days!
They're either going to be 4 or 5 hours long, or not everyone's going to have a chance to perform.
Yeah.
And all the English fans of wrestling cry a little inside.
Yeah,
because
it's in June.
Have a long. Okay,
Money in the Bank.
That's not long, is it?
Yeah, it was in June last year.
Jeez.
19th.
June. Yeah, so what we in now? March. It's only 3 months away.
Damn.
It's always before SummerSlam, isn't it?
Yeah.
We got much else in the 6-pack to discuss.
I thought it was a decent match. There was a lot of decent spots in it.
There was.
Yeah.
Especially AJ getting AA through the table, great. By Cena. The bit at the start where Cena AA'd everyone was a bit weird, I thought, but
then everyone kicked the crap out of him afterwards, which was funny.
At least AJ wasn't stupid enough to run in like they would book most people, hence everyone else.
Yeah.
Just to run in, get an AA. But I thought it was a really good match. It was really fast-paced. There was decent spots. And everyone performed well, I thought.
Everybody looked strong apart from Ziggler. I genuinely wrote that in my notes because I was like, I can't believe I picked Ziggler as I was watching.
And also, they still had the continuity with the whole Sami Zayn lying down for Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
I thought that was really well worked
It didn't work out properly though, because they were trying to. I knew what they were trying to do, because this is going to be he lies on the floor, plays possum, and then we'll roll him up. And it looked like it was going to go that way, but I think Kevin Owens messed it up a little bit, because he went to go and punch him, didn't he, or something?
Yeah,
And
Yeah,
then
he
tried
didn't
to.
believe him.
So
He kind of
Yeah.
thought that he was going to roll him up and then started punching him in the face.
yeah, so
And this is probably the only time you'll ever hear me say this, but I think Shane McMahon at ringside brought something to the match. I thought his interference for the Sami Zayn pin and the Kevin Owens pin actually
yeah.
had a point for a change, whereas
disagree.
normally he's just there to rub his own ego.
yeah, I
Yeah,
disagree.
so that's the reason. It did have a point, but it's far too late because he's been interfering in so much.
That's why I kind of disagree. Is I'm just fed up of seeing him now.
Yeah,
It's all the time. It was the same point at this time last year, wasn't it? Did he have a match against Styles
at
WrestleMania.
WrestleMania. Yeah.
Yeah.
last year? So it's literally Shane McMahon bigging up that he's going to be in a match again for a pay-per-view,
Pretty
a
much.
big
Yeah.
pay-per-view match, and I'm like, they're trying to. I know we're spoiler alert, everybody. That they're going to have this KO versus Sami Zayn at WrestleMania, but it's going to be them two against Shane. I'm sorry.
It won't
If
be.
you
I
don't-
think it'll be a triple threat.
If you don't see that, then
Why does a GM or a person in charge need to keep wrestling? Because there's no need. Don't get me wrong.
he's not even a wrestler, though, is he?
No. I know that he's not a quote unquote trained wrestler, but like, because of the success of the AJ match and the Kevin Owens match, I get why they want to keep using Shane, but it's going to get to the point where it's going to get boring. In matches, especially, not necessarily like during like Smackdowns or whatever, but on pay-per-view events, it's going to get boring. Because at some point, Shane's going to do coast to coast. Shane is going to jump off something high and land on something very, very painful, and he's going to have to look at his kids while he's getting carted away. That's not ideal, to be honest. I don't want to see it as much anymore. It needs to be a special occasion thing. If you're gonna get Shane out, wheel him out for one of the big pay-per-views, which WrestleMania, it's bound to happen. But then don't have him do it again for a while. Just have him piss off to backstage. Let Daniel Bryan, i.e. the GM, be the main voice, because that's what he's supposed to be in this position, isn't he?
Mm. But it's hard now because he's
It's
had a
the
child.
it's the way that they say that it's the land of opportunity, Smackdown, and he's still topping the pile, and he's not a wrestler.
Just curious, when is Daniel Bryan's contract up? Because I'm sure it's supposed to be sometime this year.
It is this year, and I think it might be December time.
And there's no
I thought it was
guarantee
earlier
for
than
when
that.
and there's no guarantee that he's signed a new one yet.
Yeah,
I
Interesting.
thought it
I
was
don't know when it is. That's just a
just
guess.
after Mania. Somebody had mentioned to me at some point that it was just after Mania. I don't know whether that's right or not.
Because there's all that sort of the guesswork that he's going to be at the All In pay-per-view, the one with Cody Rhodes
Yeah,
apparently, or get involved with Ring of Honor. Anyway, sorry, that's a complete and other tangent. I apologise. Continue. 6-pack challenge.
it expires November 1st.
Oh damn.
Ah.
That's too late.
Yes. Never mind.
I think we covered everything on Fastlane. I thought it was a decent show, very good. I enjoyed it,
Yeah.
and
for
they
a B
did what
show,
they
it was
needed
good.
to do.
Yeah, for a B show, it was really good. No, I say it wasn't really good. It was good. No, it wasn't bad. Wasn't great. Just a good pay-per-view.
It was a Fastlane at the end of the day.
A great balls of fire, so to say. Which, not bad.
Yeah.
It's a Fastlane. It's not going to be out of this world. It's going to be fairly predictable, but they did what they needed to do. It was good.
Job done.
Yeah. Well, let's go into the rest of the week then. So we had Raw the night after, and my goodness, I didn't watch all of it because of I
missed the first hour because of the time changes.
Aha.
But I literally watched the highlights through YouTube, and I just thought, my God, am I starting to like Roman? what is
I know.
happening to him.
It's what they do. It's how he's booked, because Roman as a wrestler is very good. He's getting booked very, very well now. That's what booking is. It's to get you behind, invested in, or not like a character.
They finally worked out a way.
Getting him booked right. Exactly.
Yeah, they finally worked out a way for him to. Okay, he's not getting fully cheered, but it's getting there, and that is to make it relatable of how people feel against Brock Lesnar with not turning up.
Yeah, because I completely agree with everything Roman said. And I've been saying this for many years now, where, Brock's not turned up again. Oh, he's got the title and he's disappeared for months.
Because no one can boo that, because it's true.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think the fans are getting a bit bored of it. I think they're getting bored of Lesnar holding a title from. You can't say, oh, he's been a champion for however many days, because he's not a fighting champion.
Michael Cole said it at the last Elimination Chamber or something, that he was the longest active champion or something, wasn't he?
Active
Universal, and it was just like, he's not active. When was the last time he was active?
I also saw a stat that said Seth Rollins in that Raw Slogathon, whatever you want to call it, I can't remember, the elimination
Gauntlet match
had more time in the ring than Lesnar did in 2017.
Jesus,
that is crazy, isn't it?
But I'm of the view that Lesnar has ruined the WWE, the Universal title. Sorry, that is. He's just killed it. I really don't give a crap about that title, because they clearly WWE don't care about it. If they don't want it on their shows to sell their shows, why should I care?
And this goes back to the point I was saying, like, last year it was Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho, and it was really well done. And now no one cares about it. Seems like everything Kevin Owens does, they just ruin it a year later.
Well, they will care about it when Roman wins. That's the point. That's what they're doing. It's all. This is genuinely the long-term strategy for Roman that we were seeing about a year or two ago, and going, what are they doing? What are they going to do with Roman? How are they going to get the fans on his side? This was the plan. Keep the title off Raw. Lesnar mows down whoever he's mowing down. He fights Roman wins, because Roman's going to win at WrestleMania. There's no question about it. He's going to win it.
Yeah. I want it to happen.
I want him to win it. I think it's what has to be done. The title needs to be back on Raw. The title needs to be defended. Because you can stick Roman in a program with anyone on that Raw roster. You've got Rollins. You can stick him in a feud with. You can stick him in a feud with Finn Balor. You can stick him in a feud with The Miz, for God's sake. You can stick him in
The Miz a title.
Yes, exactly. You can stick him in feuds with virtually anyone, because you stick Miz in a feud with Brock. Brock kills him in 2 minutes and walks out the ring, job done. But you stick him in there with Roman, and bear in mind, Miz has beaten Roman.
You could have months of it.
Yeah, the possibilities are endless, and that's what Universal title needs now. Brock doesn't need the title. He doesn't need it whatsoever. The title doesn't need him either. It needs an active wrestler. Strowman, for God's sake. It's Strowman a top involved with Roman. That would be a quality feud again.
Yeah,
I really like the everything about. I kind of, as I've been watching some of the highlights, I watched the kind of storylines in order instead of doing the show in order.
Yeah. And
literally, I went from what he did at the front, and then going into that, and then the Vince thing after. And I like the realism, and I know we'll talk about this later, because I know we've had a questioning about it, but about storytelling being dead and kayfabe being dead, and it might be, but when he goes to the gorilla position, and you see him and Vince and Shane sat together. Goes,
why was Shane there? For God's sake.
I know. That's another thing. But
Shane's just chilling.
Yeah, he shoved Shane out of the way and went, I'm not talking to you. What is going on? And it's like as if we're Roman and we're saying, Vince, what are you doing with this company, kind of thing.
And this is the perfect way to book him, to get him cheered.
I love that.
And they're doing a great job with that.
And the massive irony with that was, go back a year and a half, and whenever you had anyone with authority on there, they would say Roman sucks and things like that, and they would try and say it in front of people who had some sort of quote unquote authority in the company to get them going. We don't want Roman anywhere near the top of the card. And now there's a massive switch in that. We've all been swerved by WWE, and it's a masterstroke. I think it's brilliant, and I can't wait for WrestleMania, and I can't wait for Roman to beat Brock. Can you imagine if Brock actually beats Roman though? It'd just be like, oh, you're kidding me. Surely not.
Imagine if that happens and then Brock gets booed.
Oh, Brock will get booed. No, he will.
I could see that. I could see them booking Brock to win. Brock then coming out Raw after Mania saying there's no challenge left for me in this company and doing a Dolph Ziggler and leaving the belt in the ring and buggering off.
Oh my God.
It could probably turn full on heel like, look what I did. I don't even need to turn up and I'm the best wrestler.
But that's not Roman's coronation. It needs to be Roman's coronation.
But yeah, like Chris is saying, Roman needs a coronation.
He needs it.
Yeah, and you can't have Brock as a heel because heels have to be on Raw each week to try and get a bit of heat.
Yeah, well, I'm assuming after Mania he's going to sign for UFC again because I think his suspension's up, isn't it?
His suspension's not up till like November, December time.
Oh, is it not? So he can sign for the UFC, train for their big show in January or whatever, and he'll be sorted.
I think that's probably what's going to happen. But like I say, I would like to see him beat Roman because I think that's going to be better long term.
That'll be swerve of the year if he just pins Roman easy, clean.
No. But what I think Matt's trying to get at, and I can see what he's going with there, is it gets the sympathy. It gives Roman massive sympathy.
I think the best way to get people behind Roman Reigns long term is to have Roman lose at Mania, and then Lesnar to do something really disgusting with the biggest belt that's this Universal title is supposed to be the biggest thing in the company. If you say, yeah, I've held this for long enough now and I don't care about it. It's lost all meaning because I've beaten out all of my challengers, and he leaves it in the ring and buggers off. It gives massive heat to him when he comes back after he's had his face caved in UFC, realizes he needs to come back and get one final payoff. So it means that Lesnar's hated when he comes back, and it means that Roman's got a load of sympathy because he's been saying this all along. He's been saying for the last few weeks that Lesnar doesn't care about anybody apart from Lesnar. And then you could have a decent tournament for the WWE title. You could have you could leave it.
Everyone loves a tournament.
Either do it as a tournament or do it as a ladder match, or do something a little bit different than just have a triple threat where Brock Lesnar lies down under a table for 20-25 minutes whilst the rest of the wrestlers in the match have a match and then comes back in and squashes them, because that's all that's happened for the last
pretty much
8 months since he won't pick the title up. He's been in a triple threat match. Somebody's put him through a table. He's either been escorted out by the paramedics or he's laying there for 15 minutes while everybody else has a match. Yeah. And he gets back up, gets back in the ring, and he's in the ring for a total of 6 or 7 minutes every time. And I just...
Imagine having a Lesnar job. Be awesome, wouldn't it? You get paid ridiculous amounts of money to turn up for 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's like the rest of the week's just hunting.
Yeah, that's like me going into my job and going, "Hi kids, today you're gonna do a poster, right? I'm off for the week. Bye." And getting paid shed load of money.
What was it? What's he on? Like $8 million
Lesnar has the best contract. Lesnar has the best contract in the world.
12 million a year, and he's got
12 million, isn't it? Yeah, because I think he's on 12 million.
20 shows across the things. That's including pay-per-views and Raws.
And I think Cena's on 8 million or something.
Well, he was on a house show. Lesnar was on a house show with he fought Miz for 2 minutes. Fought Miz. Miz came out, called him out. Lesnar came out, F5'd him, walked away.
Yeah, he did that with Kane as well, didn't they? It was like 54 seconds or something.
Great. I bet that was fun. But I mean, I see where you're going. I see what you're saying about doing a tournament afterwards. But the reason why I wouldn't necessarily like that is that it gives, if Roman beats Brock, it gives him more credibility. And
like you said, he needs his coronation.
And you know, I can see him holding the title, confetti, and all that sort of stuff. It's fantasy booking, and I love it. But I mean, he needs that. Because bear in mind, the last time he got the confetti and all things like that was when they brought The Rock out, and then he looked confused. And I hate the fact that they referenced the Rock cousin thing again. Just let that go. It's not real. We know it's not real. Everyone knows it's not real. Don't do it. Just don't reference it ever again. That's just a segue back into Raw. They did it, and it annoyed me.
It's like saying I'm related to the honky tonk man, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah. Alexa Bliss is my cousin. You know, I could just say that all I like. It's not true, but you know.
Yeah,
Don't know
but
why
I
it's
think
Alexa Bliss. That's just weird.
I think we're all in agreement, though. I think we are probably highly invested in this.
Yeah, definitely.
And-
Yeah,
It's probably
they're
the
doing
best,
it right.
It's probably
They're booking it right.
It's probably the best booking on the on Raw at the moment, I'd say.
Yeah.
Cena, we've got to bring it up because I want to get it out of the way.
Who called it? Who
Challenge-
called it in the last podcast? I'm sure someone called it and said, "No, he's fighting Taker. He's fighting Taker." Someone called it.
It wasn't me. I said there was no way they'd bring Taker back. I was wrong, and I hate the WWE for it.
I can't remember.
I don't want him. I don't want him to come back.
I don't see. I'm after that Cena promo. I don't want it to happen, but I really want it to happen.
I really want to just see John Cena in the crowd.
Sitting there chilling with the I
in the
hate
front
Cena
row.
guy. Sitting with the I hate
Sat-
Cena guy. Like, yeah.
Yeah,
I think what made it great was that Cena was proper piling into Taker.
Yeah.
Like, you're an egomaniac. This is your doing.
It's not very often you see people going at Taker, as in personal Taker stuff.
Yeah, like
I mean,
whole
Yeah, go on.
Instagram thing,
Yeah.
posting workouts, like proper going in on him. And it's just like, oh wow.
It's about time.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say it because it's going to spoil what we're doing later on with the WrestleMania moments thing, but I just, the Taker thing, just no.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't.
Like I said, I really want it to happen, but I don't want it to happen at the
Yeah.
same time because
Yeah.
Taker just needs
Cena
to retire.
a match. Cena needs a match at Mania. It's not going to be main event. It will be sort of 2 or 3 down from it.
Put him on the pre-show.
stick
Put
him
them
in the
both in the Andre the
Royal.
Andre the Giant Battle Royale. Just have it off.
Just put Taker in the Andre Memorial Battle Royal. That'd be brilliant. He loses to Mojo. It's so good.
See, the best thing about last year's Andre the Giant Battle Royale is Mojo Rawley celebrates the win, has a terrible year. Jinder Mahal goes out last and has an awesome year.
I think that's happened both years, though, hasn't it? 'Cause Baron Corbin won it and then had a terrible year. Did he win it?
He has
Corbin
won it. I don't know if it's last year.
Didn't Cesaro
I
win it
can't remember.
once?
It might have been.
Cesaro
Yeah,
won
it
it
must have been.
on 30, WrestleMania 30.
Yes.
And then it was it Big Show after that?
Yeah.
I thought Big Show
And
win
then-
the first one.
Because how are you going to knock a giant
can't
over the
remember.
top rope? Lol, meme.
Because effectively, Andre the Giant and the Big Show are the same person. They've just been reincarnated.
I remember
Pretty
in
much,
was it when he first went in? At some point, I'm pretty sure there was a storyline where he was his son.
Yeah, when Big Show first debuted, he wasn't called Big Show, and he was Andre the Giant's son. That was
Because
He
in
was called
WCW, he
Big
was
Paul
known
White or
as
something.
Paul White,
Yeah.
and then the Giant.
I think it was WCW where he was Andre's son, but I can't remember. I've seen videos on it, but
Yeah, it was Cesaro,
Oops.
and then Big Show at 31, then Corbin, and then Mojo.
Wow.
And
That's a
everybody in that
prestigious
list,
isn't it?
that list has done nothing since. Maybe Corbin, but yeah.
Well,
Cesaro was
have
the
we have
first
a
one ever. He's
question
only
later.
just started to.
Yeah.
He's only just started to come out to it.
Yes. So we got a question about that later anyway, so we'll move on from the Andre the Giant
Yeah.
situation if we can.
I kind of want to skip. I feel really horrible. I want to skip over the Bailey and Sasha thing because not a lot.
Yeah, there's not
No.
much to talk about really.
Nothing
It's
just
new
the
to
same
happen,
old as
really,
last
is
week.
it?
all we need to say now is it's not happening at WrestleMania, and they're in the fabulous Muller corner.
Yeah. Fabulous Muller. What is she? A yogurt? Is she a yogurt?
I can't believe I've just said that.
Jesus,
I cannot
man.
believe I've just.
That's
Muller
a
Corner Battle
podcast
Royale.
name.
The Miller
No.
Corner.
That is the podcast name. That's the name for this particular podcast. That's it.
The
Done.
Miller Corner.
WrestleMania moments part 1.
Forward
The
slash
fabulous
Muller
Muller Corner. Wow.
Yes. That's how
Yeah, I was thinking of coming on to that next actually, and just say just a bit of a.
It's very interesting.
We've got one, but I think we need to save it for later. I think it was announced on Raw just before Raw or on Raw. I can't remember.
It was on Raw, I think.
It was on Raw, yeah, halfway
Yeah,
through.
so it was announced, but not a lot's happened since. So I'm sure we'll talk about it later. I think we touched on it earlier. Nia Jax.
Oh
Go on
yeah,
then. Who's got the Nia Jax rant today?
Right.
Go on then, Jack, let's
Booking a
go.
monster.
And me as well. I've got this big bugbear.
I'm not like Miles.
Booking a monster. The title of the story. Booking a monster. You don't have her come out beating jobbers every week and then losing main feuds. That's one. And then the next thing, you don't start a storyline with classic playground bitching about someone and calling her Shrek.
Yeah.
And then making her cry, and it's like as if this big
It's
monster
just-
is a big softie.
Yeah, it's just like what the hell's going on? Like
They're not going for that though. They're no longer going for the she's a monster thing. I think they're trying to say that the WWE has changed. I think what their storyline is going to be is they were Alexa Bliss and Mickey James, was it? Horrible people, and they're the bullies in the schoolyard.
It reminded me of
they're not going to prosper. Nia Jax is going to squash Alexa Bliss at Mania.
It reminded me of what's that film? Oh, Mean Girls. It reminded me of Mean Girls. So,
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, I'm afraid.
It's just a bunch
But
of
isn't that crappy booking for women though, isn't it?
It is.
All women are the
And
same. They all hate each other.
They do all that, like classic playground bitching, like I said.
Yeah, exactly. It's just crap.
And then they got Be a Star as their biggest charity pool.
Oh,
Yep.
God
And it's
sake.
anti-bullying and like don't be mean to people.
But I think that you're looking at this just at this point. If you look at this, looking back on it, you're going to have the whole moral of this story is going to be that mean people don't end up where they should be in life.
But
and the
that's
person who
like
gets
90s,
bullied.
the 80s wrestling. I don't care for that.
Yes.
Yeah,
All we need is Titus O'Neil to come out and do his usual. Oh,
really
I'm
don't need
a
Titus
campaigner for Be a Star, and I'm going to be your friend, Nia. Just please don't.
Come join Titus Worldwide. Come on. We're
Hoorah,
really
hoorah,
booked
hoorah.
well at the moment.
Yeah, I just
You
think.
just never have Titus Worldwide on TV ever again.
No,
Sorry.
I
They
quite
were on
liked
TV,
it.
Matt.
I
and we're
liked
gonna-
it. I liked Titus Worldwide for a little while, but it just did get a little bit. So
They've had their little push
tried to.
because
Sorry, my missus just poked me in the face there. Right, see, no, I mean, honestly, yeah. Cheers, Trace. I like Titus thing as a comedic duo with them two, and they had Tozawa involved as well. And then you know they should have expanded it a bit more, get some of the jobbers together, and I think it would have been good fun to keep them together as like an in effect a job squad. But like
That sounds like the Social Outcasts about a year ago.
that's basically it. Yeah, to be honest. And having Titus pumping them up and going the Titus brand, but the Titus O'Neil selling a Titus brand that doesn't sell anything. It's just silly, and I quite liked it. But then when they tried to turn them serious, it's just no, just no, not really feeling that, mate.
Well, it's kind of all this Nia thing as well is kind of linked in with Asuka, isn't it? And that was like one big segment in some ways because it was. I think Asuka came out, didn't she, and just said, "This is why I've challenged Charlotte," and then you've got
to be the woman, you got to beat the woman.
Yeah, and then Alexa Bliss is being that typical hero. You know you can't beat me, so you pick somebody else.
Oh,
But,
talking about brands like SmackDown versus Raw, she did say at one point, you know you can't beat me, and I'm glad that you're going for the B show title.
Sure.
She did, but she masked it behind the racism of you're a foreigner, so I can't understand you, which was a little bit more offensive to me than somebody calling a black girl Shrek.
Yeah,
that was
I get that.
really crossing a line.
I think I put on Twitter that it's just getting a bit too uncomfortable now.
Yeah, I
Like
mean, I would like to point out that I do really like Alexa Bliss as a heel. She's bloody good.
She's great, yeah.
She's great. And but man, when she first got brought up to the main roster, we all thought, what? Really? Okay, that's a bit of a weird one.
In NXT, she wasn't that.
No, she wasn't anything much in NXT. And then she basically
Especially
ran SmackDown. They wanted to push her to the moon, and Becky did a really good job of helping her and getting her up from there. But then she went over to Raw and destroyed that division as well. You got to give her a lot of credit in terms of her character's really good. She's really good on the mic, and quite frankly, probably the best woman on the mic out of all of them by a mile, surely.
Yeah.
Because Bayley stumbles over her words. Sasha just sounds bored most of the time when she's talking. So, I mean, Charlotte's okay, but she sounds a bit robotic on the mic as well. Asuka, yeah.
You're not ready for Asuka.
No, don't. Oh, Smoothman. Oh, I'm gonna have to mute. Am I gonna have to mute that? Am I gonna? I'm gonna have to edit that because
her promo on SmackDown, Asuka's was quite good. I thought,
but that's all that's needed. She doesn't, because it's very obvious that she doesn't speak English very well. She doesn't need to say lots.
That's obvious.
Yeah, she doesn't need to say very much.
She doesn't. She's one of the best female wrestlers in the world. She doesn't need to talk.
No,
yeah.
Just
obviously, it would be good if she was English speaking, but and you're not going to get around that anytime soon.
No, not particularly.
Well, just let her smash people's faces in.
She should
She
should just basically be the modern day China. You never had China talking in the ring when she was
pretty much
in the Intercontinental, but fighting with men, and she was holding her own in a men's division. She was never on the mic. You don't need Asuka on the mic. Let her do her talking in the ring.
Yeah, fair enough, I'd say.
Yeah.
She's getting there, but obviously it's still a bit because she's not England. English isn't her first language, so it's obviously hard in that aspect. But to bring it up, like Matt said, to bring it up constantly week on week, saying that you don't understand what I'm saying, is just a bit uncomfortable.
It's a bit childish, to be honest. It's just not really needed. What next in the order?
I think everything else was kind of filler. I don't think the Miz stuff was going anywhere. It's going in the direction we expect it. The Miz is trying
same as Bayley Sasha.
So I don't kind of want to spend too long on that, but I
want to go on the last bit.
I do want to spend my time talking about my absolute hero, Strowman.
Curveball. Strowman to win the tag titles on his own at Mania.
I wrote that and I said, give him the belts.
Give him the belts. There are stories that he's going to team up with Elias.
Why? He's just been squashing Elias for 3 years.
I don't know. I would really love him to see him on his own, but there are reports of him teaming up with Elias for some reason.
I would quite like. This sounds ridiculous, but I'd quite like him to bring back James Ellsworth and tag with him. That'd be amazing. That'd be really good. I think that'd be a proper comedy double act. I think that'd be amazing.
I've got another one for you. A certain person who attended the Royal Rumble. Stand back. There's a hurricane coming through.
Well, isn't he supposed to be going to the cruiserweights at some point?
There are reports about that. Yeah,
I quite like
Gregory Helms. I heard an interview with Helms about 4 weeks ago that says he's fully booked on indie shows for like 6 months. So I don't think you're getting him anytime soon.
No.
Yeah, but
no tag team with Strowman.
This is the WWE. They could put him off the indie.
Could you imagine like they could be like a superhero comedy act, and you have Strowman in a cape and a singlet as well? That'd be hilarious. I'd love that.
Jumping. You can have it where he's jumping off Strowman's back and flying across. It's written itself.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Yeah. It's like I don't know. Strowman's walking down and he's carrying him on his shoulders. He's like doing like the Superman flying pose. That'd be amazing. I'd love it.
That would be.
Right, fantasy booking. That's happening. That's going to happen now.
At first I was really disappointed how they were burying the tag division, but I think it's great. When it finished, I was like, "This is if he wins the titles on his own, it's just going to be class."
I was just silly, and why not? We at the end of the day, wrestling at the end of the day is supposed to be fun. There are some serious parts of it, sure, but it's silly, it's fun, and I do like a bit of silliness in wrestling. Why not?
Yeah, I'm with you.
And it does build into the bar saying they ran out of competition, they don't like Raw, they want to move to SmackDown,
and they are. Aren't they?
Have them get absolutely smashed by Braun Strowman. It'd be great.
And then they'll go to SmackDown.
Yeah,
because of course, after Ramia, Jesus Christ, Chris, Roman Ramia.
I was going to say that's Vince's wet dream, that Ramia.
I've just got the mental image of that Vince gif where he's sitting in the chair in the ring. And, yeah. After Roman Reignia, you have you got the shake up, which could be really interesting.
We can talk about that in a future episode. Who we think's going to move over?
Yes, because I would like our listeners to have like a break at some point. We're well over an hour, so where are we at the moment? What was next?
That was the last thing on Raw.
Yeah,
Braun Strowman.
The smacking
Smackdown,
down, the B
Smackdown.
show.
Oh,
First hour was decent. Second hour was. If we don't have to speak about the second hour, I'll be glad.
I like the Uso and Big E thing. I really did.
I thought that was great. Really well played, and they're still booking. The Bludgeon Brothers as heels, as monsters even, and it was great.
I like the fact that the Usos and the New Day have had this long feud, and they're always kind of at each other's throats. But for this, they've got a common goal and they're working together. And I like them working together. I could see them as a foursome, or five even.
It sets up, what I assume the triple threat for the SmackDown tag titles. It sets up really well.
We don't have enough triple threats at Mania, do we?
Oh yeah, you can't do that.
It could be triple threat. This could be called Triple Threat Mania.
Yeah.
I don't know. The AJ Styles promo with Nakamura, I just felt when I was watching the highlights, it was a bit boring. Nothing really happened. There's no substance. It was all, this is a dream match. We all know it's a dream match.
That's
dream
the thing.
kicked you in the face.
You kind of don't need to hype it up because
it's already.
It's going to be a good. It's going to be a good match.
Well, what they're trying to do is they're trying to get their little tiny segments in for the promo package for WrestleMania.
Oh yeah.
Because I mean, you're not going to get them to sharing a beer with each other. And then drinking it before they pile, punches into each other's faces. It's not Rocks and Stone Cold this. It's a completely different match with completely different people. You don't need to have 20 or 10, 15 or however many minute promos where they're talking to each other. Nakamura isn't that great on the mic. He's charismatic in his own way, but he doesn't need to be on the mic. He doesn't need to do come on every 2 minutes as well. But besides that... I know Matt was keyed up then. I had a feeling he was going to say something. Yes. But, he doesn't need that. He just needs to go in there, do his weird arm stuff and kick people around. That's what he does. Nothing else is needed.
No.
Spot on.
Pretty much. I don't know what else. Just the Shane thing was the other big thing. Everything else was kind of secondary, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, all you had really was Sami Zayn whinged about Kevin Owens and then whinged about Shane McMahon, and then Owens then whinged about Shane McMahon, and then they got in the ring and kicked him.
And then Shane McMahon sounded like a pensioner that's fallen over, I think I put on Twitter. With his horrible little grunts.
Oh dear, Shane. Oh dear.
And he announced that he was going on, leave, some absence or some sort, and we're not going to see him again. And I smiled. I was like, yes, come on. Best news of the night.
Yep.
Don't have to see Shane McMahon. And then we end the show with him grunting.
Yeah,
typical.
I always like a good chair attack with a ring post involved.
Oh yes, definitely.
They always look brutal.
Yes.
But like I said,
not real.
First hour of SmackDown was decent. It was all right. Second hour was horrible. It's the worst thing I've ever seen.
The Carmella thing. This is my rant of the night. Have we transported back into the Attitude Era? This is my genuine question, because we're hair pulling again.
Yep.
We're screaming. We're hair pulling. It's just
the excessive amount of slap.
Yeah, I was like, if we're trying to build, Raw is building the kind of women's evolution. They're calling it now. It's not revolution, is it? It's evolution.
Mm.
But SmackDown are going backwards. Because Carmella...
And the finish of the match as well was hair-pulling onto the canvas from the second rope, and then Carmella pinned her.
It's just. Oh, I'm expecting Jerry Lawler to come out and start shouting puppies, and I don't know. I don't. This is how.
Yeah,
It
I
used
know.
to be, and
Are you saying that Carmella's going to win her match with a bra and panties match at bloody SummerSlam or something?
if we're going in the way of hair pulling and slapping, potentially, but
I said Carmella will win. She'll cash in her Money in the Bank with a bra and panties match at SummerSlam.
I just don't know. I just don't really know.
There wasn't much else on SmackDown, if I'm honest.
No.
It was a diabolical show.
Yeah.
But did anyone watch 205 Live or see the highlights? I want to bring this up quick.
I've never seen a match of 205 Live.
Neither have I.
Honestly, the Roderick Strong and Cedric Alexander match was, if Meltzer hasn't given it at least 4.5 stars, he's wrong. It was the best storytelling I've seen in 205 Live. There was spots galore. This is what you expect from cruiserweights, and it was just amazing. Like, if you have time, go on the network and watch it.
Yeah, I will.
I think I will, actually.
It's about a half-hour match, I think.
Have they given anybody a title in 205 Live yet?
The final. This was the semi-final. So Cedric Alexander won, and they're having the final at Mania for the title.
Pre-show.
Yeah, on the pre-show. I think.
Yeah, it's probably going to be on the pre-show.
It shouldn't be on the pre-show. If you want to give the cruiserweight title some prestige, you should stick it on the main show.
Now they've got two
even
battle
if it's
royales.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe not, but it's going to be a 2-hour pre-show.
I would strongly suggest that Andre the Giant at Battle Royale and the 205 Live will be the pre-show. Personally, I think they should scrap 205 Live as a show, make SmackDown 2.5 hours, 3 hours, and stick it on there.
Yeah,
Bring
that's
it back
what
in,
I was thinking.
because otherwise, it's giving people that option of not watching it. If you call it SmackDown and just have cruiserweights for the last hour, more people will watch it than you calling it a separate show, because that means that people can just switch off and not bother.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from.
But I think 205 Live at the moment is the best product for wrestling on WWE.
Well, but then
it's incredible.
I'd say it's on a par with NXT. From what I've read and heard,
it's incredible at the moment.
Yeah, I've not really given 205 Live a fair crack. I'll be brutally honest, I've not really watched any of it. But I think I should check it out sometimes. The problem is there is just too much wrestling. There's too much.
It is far too
much to keep up with.
Especially if you've got a pay-per-view on, like we did on Sunday.
Especially if you've got a podcast today.
3
I watched
days.
8 hours of wrestling in a very short space of time.
Even trying to do it with just what we've got, just this week, Fastlane, you've got Raw and SmackDown. We could be here for days if we added everything else on.
Fair play to Jack for staying up for every single thing. You stayed up for Raw, you stayed up for SmackDown, and you stayed up for the pay-per-view?
You are a crazy man.
You are a legend. I see. I made no secret about it. I used to do a podcast before for wrestling. I tried to stay awake and live tweet from that wrestling account, and every time I'd make it to about halfway through the show and fall asleep. It's like I fell asleep during the Usos versus New Day Hell in a Cell match. I fell asleep during it.
How?
That's how tired I was. Because I'd sit there, and the next thing I'd wake up and it's like morning. Like, oh, bugger! Whoops! There we go. That's that.
Yeah,
I better go back. Yeah.
Yeah, I made it through Fastlane this weekend, but I didn't stay up for Raw and SmackDown as well because my boss at work would kill me.
I've made the ridiculous decision to stay up for Mania week and do NXT
the whole week.
NXT.
That's dedication, isn't it?
Yeah, I attempted to do NXT, WrestleMania, Raw after, SmackDown after.
I'm gonna do. There's no way I'm gonna stay awake for Takeover. I'll watch Takeover first thing in the morning, but I'm trying to go to. a sports club to go and watch WrestleMania with a couple of friends, trying to get that organised, which could be really interesting because I've not gone out to watch wrestling before.
No,
And I'd love to do it.
I always invite people to my house, and then they all come around and say, "Why are you watching wrestling?"
Yeah,
And then
Grow
they
up.
disappear. They disappear at 3:00,
You
and
know
it's
it's
like
fake, right?
there's still 2 hours left.
2. It's 3 hours at that point, isn't it? 3 a.m.
I've
It's got to finish at least 6 a.m.
For
7 a.m.
WrestleMania, Jesus. WrestleMania 6-hour show. Can you imagine how exhausted those fans are going to be? It's just
With the amount of big matches on there. I put this on Twitter. I said,
the crowd.
is this the biggest Mania they've ever done? Not necessarily going to be the best, but is this the biggest one they've ever done?
Well, that was the problem with the last Mania, because I watched, because obviously the main talking point about the last Mania was the Hardy Boys' return and the huge pop that got, which is quite rightly so. It was an amazing moment. I was still awake at that point watching it last year, and I was going mental on Twitter about it. It was brilliant. I just punched my wall by mistake. So that was that noise if you had a thump there. Ow. So, yeah, but by later on, everyone is drained and exhausted by the time it's Roman versus Taker. Because by that point, like, oh my God, I've got young kids here. It's pitch black out. I am exhausted. I've been standing here for 5.5 hours. I need a break.
This is what I mean, because you've got Charlotte versus Asuka, which should be a match of the night contender. You've got Nakamura, AJ, match of the night contender. You've got Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn. If it's just them two, that could be a match of the night contender. Undertaker, Cena, that is everyone's dream match. It's going to be bad, but it's everyone's dream match.
Yeah.
It's 5 years too late.
Match of the night is going to be Intercontinental Championship between Balor, The Miz.
Got three massive names in the Intercontinental title match.
It's going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing.
Seth Rollins is a big name.
You might have a big name, but
I'm genuinely excited for WrestleMania. It's looking like it's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
But that's actually a question we got later on. But we need to move on to what if we've answered pretty much every question that we had for later on, but in segments already. So apologies.
We have
roughly.
Should we?
We're going to move on to
WrestleMania moments and things.
What we've watched.
Yeah, sorry, yes. I'm like, intense. Yeah. So we all decided and agreed that after the last podcast with the run up to WrestleMania, we are going to spend time watching classic matches, and we decided to put 3 into 1 with the WrestleMania 30, because this is the year that I didn't watch it, and it was I never watched this live, and I think it's the year where I don't know, I think I missed wrestling. It was my hiatus for 10 years of wrestling, but obviously since then. I know who Daniel Bryan is. I know about the Brock versus Taker, which we're going to start on. And
I mean,
if I'd have watched that live, I think I'd have cried. I honestly do. I think everything about it as I was watching was just giving me absolute goosebumps at the end.
I was in shock.
It was worse than Brock versus Roman at the last Mania.
Watching it back, it was quite obvious that Taker was going to lose.
Well, I mean, we all sort of know that after the match, if you guys don't have the network, I'm not just talking to you guys, I'm talking to audience as well. If you guys don't have the network, please get it and watch WWE's 24 on WrestleMania 30. Because as soon as Taker goes back through the curtains, he collapses. He is heavily concussed. And he's in a really bad way. He spends 2 or 3 days in hospital. It's very, very clear during the match that something's not right. Now, I remember, I think I'm sitting too far from the mic here, but I remember very clearly during the match, because I was tweeting during this match, people were going, something's not right about Taker. Something's not right. He doesn't seem himself. He's really not himself in any way.
Yeah, at one point he was fine. The other point he couldn't stand up.
Yeah, he just went like that. It looked like someone knocked his lights out or something. He had his bell rung.
And it wasn't the case that he was aging at that point. No, something had happened.
No, he did not look right. And then people were adamant, and people are still now adamant that was an audible in the ring to change the winner. That there are still some people who believe it's like a quote unquote conspiracy theory thing, but that it was called as an audible during the match, that they swapped the winner over from Taker to Lesnar. And Paul Heyman did a brilliant promo. It wasn't necessarily a promo, but he was doing a live an audience with Paul Heyman, where he described it to a British audience, going, "Well, what if Brock Lesnar just decided, no, I'm just going to take out this old man, and I'm going to Brock Lesnar does what Brock Lesnar wants, and what if that's true? What if it's not? We'll never know."
I've seen
that was brilliant. I loved that.
Great.
The match doesn't hold up. I know it's only a couple of years. It's 4 years ago now, nearly. It doesn't. It's not an easy match to watch by any means.
No.
It's very slow.
Yeah. It's not your typical Lesnar match from recent times, is it? You see recent Lesnar matches where he just destroys people and then it's over.
No, it was quite even, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it was like the Undertaker came out and Taker, and then it was all Lesnar, and it was I don't know. I like the kind of idea of trying to get the submissions over with each other, because you don't normally see Hell's Gate that often.
Because
also
he had what's it called, the Kimura lock, is it called?
Yeah,
and then Taker reversed it into his own Kimura lock, and it looked really nice. Looked quite slick.
Yeah.
But as it was getting to the end, you could tell that, as you say,
he could barely stand, and
you were just like, "What?" But
I personally don't think they changed it. I think it was meant to.
Oh yeah, it was
because
meant to happen.
you could tell in the commentators' voices that they didn't want to commentate on it.
No,
you could tell that.
Yeah, because it should be a point of absolute silence and letting the crowd display their sort of, thank you takers and things. But what the crowd got instead, yes, I know where we're going with this. I'm not actually on that moment yet, but we'll get to that in a second. What the crowd got instead was chance of BS. I'm not going to say it because obviously, swearing and things. We got chance of BS and, basically displaying utter disdain for the fact that Taker's streak had ended to Lesnar, who's seen as a part-timer and not the right person for Taker to lose to. Certainly in that position. I am going to mention it though, because I was told the guys who are in here earlier on. I was watching this match earlier today, which was so fresh in my mind, and just the perfect crowd noise just made me laugh so much. You get it's because. Also, this WrestleMania 30 made me realize just how much I'm so glad that JBL isn't on commentary anymore.
Yeah.
Oh God, he's so annoying. But then you get JBL trying to talk so softly, going, "Well, I don't know what amazing's going through the Undertaker's mind right now," and all you hear is, "You suck," coming from one guy in the crowd, which it's so loud and so perfect. I was in tears. I forgot about it until that moment. And oh my God, I loved it. I also found a little while ago that I tweeted out, because I watched it live. I was watching it live, obviously, when it was. And I was tweeting about it. And the guy, the black guy with his eyes wide and the open mouth, I took a picture of it going, "This guy will be a meme for life." I remember it so clearly. And he's a meme for life.
Yeah,
it wasn't.
I think he's met Taker, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's met him. Yeah, he's jacked now. The guy's like jacked and swollen and everything, and all those other dank meme words. But yeah, he's he became a meme for a while, bless him. But
are we all? Who's in agreement that he should have retired then?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Although I still say that Lesnar was a bad person to pick to break the streak. I know they used it to build Lesnar up to be this monster, but they should have built someone else up.
Well, it was pitched to other people.
But who would you pick?
Somebody who's going to bother turning up every week.
I would have happily seen a heel John Cena
back then. Roman should have done it back then.
I would have happily seen a heel John Cena. Kind of like how Austin turned in X7, just pummeling Taker with chairs turn heel, beats the streak.
Yeah, that'd
I
have
would.
been a
love to
great
see
way
that.
to do it, but that's in hindsight, though, isn't it?
Oh yeah, everything's going to be in hindsight.
Yeah, and
Because then we wouldn't have to have the sluggish match last year where it looked like as if Taker's hip was about to pop out.
Which it probably was.
Yeah. And then this rigmarole of what we've got this year Colin Taker out. I just think if I could go back in time and I could watch that live, and if they did it where you see Taker, because he doesn't raise his arm at the end like he normally does. He doesn't leave anything in the ring. He just walks off
and goes. He can barely stand.
And goes, I'm done.
He just wants
That's
to get out.
basically concussed to death.
But it should have been. That's it. Because if he when he raises his arm, back next week, sell it as that. Sell it as that, and just go. And then you could release like they could do the night after, like they did with Ric Flair of the
retirement speech.
Yeah, and they could have announced it overnight. So they could have announced like either early morning the next day in America time and say Undertaker will address the WWE universe, and he comes out.
Yeah. That'd have been a perfect way to do it.
My streak is broken. I've got nothing else to give. That's it. I'm done.
Instead, I've got matches to give against Bray Wyatt.
Oh, well, yeah. Next year, you face Bray Wyatt in a nothing match. You face Roman Reigns to put Roman Reigns over and give him the match of a lifetime.
Which it didn't do. It just gave him a good promo. All it did was give him a good promo the next night, and it was forgotten about afterwards.
Yeah.
That was the greatest promo. I know we said it last week, but that was the greatest promo ever. That Roman Reigns one the night after.
Oh, it was a great promo, no question. But that's what that match did. It just.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It didn't really do much for it, but anyway.
But I think you needed that Taker moment to make the next match, the Daniel Bryan moment, even more sweeter at that point.
Oh, Medical Kid.
Yes. The first match was just typical Stephanie and Triple, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, pretty much.
I wasn't watching wrestling around this time. I take it Daniel Bryan was wearing that shoulder thing because Triple H had done him in the Raw before or the Smackdown before, whatever.
Yes.
Yeah,
I can't remember fully, but it was definitely they had targeted his shoulder.
Yes. Can I say that the promo music, well, the promo before it was amazing. The monster.
I went straight to
I watched the because obviously the original one it's to the track Monster where it goes it's getting stronger because the whole build up of Daniel Bryan is that he's a B+ player where he's someone that is not good enough and doesn't deserve to be where he is. He's getting there on the will of the people, and the people want him to be the champion. But Trips and the Authority think, no, he's not good enough for the championship, so they give it to Randy Orton instead. And then they go, no. We think that Daniel Bryan should be in it, and then Daniel Bryan's, I need to be in it, and we're going to occupy Raw until you do give us a chance to be in it. Basically, that to the tune of a monster in the background.
Yeah,
and then
it was months, wasn't it? Wasn't it months of Daniel Bryan trying to beat the Authority?
Yeah, it was months of it, but
near on a year, I think. Yeah, something like that.
It was a long time, but I'll tell you what though, when he came down to the ring, goosebumps because it was just remembering what Daniel Bryan, how over Daniel Bryan is, and then him going down to the ring to wrestle, goosebumps, man.
Especially both times as well.
It was brilliant. I loved it.
The fact he got to do it twice.
Yes.
But
yeah, I mean. That's the first time I've ever seen Daniel Bryan in a singles match. I've because I wasn't around for his whole coming into WWE and going through, and I don't. It just in my. I know you're saying he was so over, and he had everything stacked against him. But why do you have the little man as the injured person going into a match with Triple H? All it did was make Triple H look weak.
That's
because. But I mean,
it's just tried to put over against all odds kind of thing.
Yeah, it's stacking the odds even greater against Bryan.
Yeah,
that's all it is. Because Daniel Bryan is known as he is at that moment built as the best technical wrestler in the world.
He is the underdog story.
Yeah,
really.
yeah, he's the proper underdog story. The 210-pound wrestler who can take out guys that have got 80 or 90 pounds on him. just by the way that he can wrestle you down to the ground and put you in submissions and knee you in the face quick enough so that you go down for a 3 count. And that's Daniel Bryan to a T, and he can sell merch like no one's business.
It's a bit annoying going back now and seeing why he got so many concussions.
You could tell.
Just for his
you could
wrestling
just
style.
tell. Jesus Christ, he throws himself at absolutely everything. It almost makes you think that The Miz was right in that promo. The Miz was right. Class concussions, man.
But it annoyed me because I'm a really big fan of Batista, and
that was the year of Bautista, wasn't it?
Obviously at that Royal Rumble was the that one and the one afterwards where Roman won it as well.
Yeah,
he got it.
It kind of put me off Daniel Bryan a bit. Because I wanted that moment, not necessarily Batista winning the title, but
to him to submit.
This is why I want him to come back so much to make it right.
I think he's going to. I think Batista is going to come back.
Well, he said he wants to. He just needs to work it out as how to do it. He's made up with Vince again.
To do it. Yeah, are they actually made up now? Because he was so pissed at how he was booked. He made it very, very clear publicly that he was pissed about it.
Yeah, no, he did it. You know, when all the rumors were going around that he'd be the surprise entrance in the Rumble, that was because he did an interview on, I can't remember which US talk show, but it was one of them where he said he'd made up with Vince and they just need to now work out the ins and outs of when he can do it within his schedule for films.
Guardians of the Galaxy and all that.
No, it'd be good because you know he doesn't. That should not be his legacy. It's just getting booed out of the arena, and him just going, "Fine, I quit," which was actually a great way to leave, by the way.
Because he does say also if he comes back, he wants a match against Triple H at Mania, doesn't he?
That'd be a good
I think
match.
that was what he said.
Yeah.
I think that's what he wanted. First of all, he wanted a match against Triple H, and obviously they had different ideas, Vince and that, and hence why he got all upset about it. But yeah, I think
it was a very good match.
Go on.
It was a very good match. I really liked the idea of Bryan is this person who shouldn't really be a WWE champion. He will never be a WWE champion. Triple H will make sure of it and keep making sure of it because he just pops up every 5 minutes. The spot of the RKO and the Batista bomb is incredible.
Mate.
Sold it like death.
It was horrible
brilliant.
to watch purely because Randy Orton didn't connect with the RKO at all. And then Randy Orton fell on the TV, didn't he, back first?
Yeah,
and it looked so sickening.
And his back was just, oh, God. He stayed because he was supposed to get back up quite quickly, which is why Batista just sort of stands there like, what do I do now?
Yeah,
like a wet blanket.
looking all shocked, like, what's going on? He's just put some guy through a table, what do you expect?
Yeah, that's what he done, mate. Go on, get in the ring, get somebody and pin him.
It was, I think that's the match where you just, obviously I know what the outcome is, but you just like, what's going to happen next? What's the curveball?
Yeah.
Is it going to be Daniel Bryan wins, or is it going to be?
I think everyone expected
Triple H screws him over.
Everyone.
If they hadn't have had Bryan to win after the Taker situation, there would have been riots in the street.
Yeah, there genuinely would have been riots. I wouldn't have been surprised if there would, because you can't have the one and only true babyface that company has lose in the match where he's supposed to win and have Taker lose the streak in the same night. That's like, that's a massive FU to the fans. I do what I want, sort of stuff.
Yeah.
My biggest feeling coming away from this, I don't know.
Matt has turned into a Dalek. Matt, I do apologise, but you appear to have turned into a Dalek.
Am I better now?
You're no.
No, you're still the same. I think
you've gone quite strange.
What the hell is going on here?
Can you, wait, everyone, Matt, please say exterminate.
Exterminate.
Yes.
So
that's
Matt's
got some technical issues.
Yeah, Matt's got some technical issues. He's now changed his gimmick into a Dalek.
It's a Shockmaster.
It is. Just make sure your helmet doesn't fall.
Love it.
Well, I don't know how we're doing. I think we've been along. Yes, we're back. Matt's back.
Yeah, Matt's back.
Ooh.
You need to hear that in the edit.
So-
It's fantastic.
What I was trying to say was the biggest thing that came out from watching the two Daniel Bryan matches wasn't particularly anything about those matches themselves. Daniel Bryan looks to me like what they wanted to do with Chris Benoit before the tragedy happened, because
Yes.
he's a diving headbutt. He uses a crippler cross. I don't care if he's going to call it the yes lock. It's a crippler cross face. He's a lightweight wrestler who's going over the odds. I think they've found somebody from the Indies who's a very similar style to Benoit and brought him in and done what they were wanting to do with Benoit. And obviously, he's got head issues, which is
That's a really,
similar to
really
Benoit as
interesting
well.
dynamic. That's a really
They're
interesting way of looking at
both
it.
very good technical wrestlers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or they were.
It was just that was what I took from that. Like I say, I've never seen Daniel Bryan in a singles match. I've seen him in a couple of Royal Rumbles.
Yeah.
Never seen him in a singles match before, and that's what I got from watching it. He's a very similar style to Chris Benoit, and obviously
I never really thought about that.
No,
But
that's perfectly right. Yeah, I think that's a really good way of looking at it, to be honest.
technical wrestler. He can do a proper crossface with both sides. It doesn't matter which arm you give him. Whereas, like, you always saw Chris Benoit with the left arm. Daniel Bryan is good enough to do it with both arms in the same match.
Yeah.
And it looked convincing both times. It's not where, I know, was it Triple H that reversed it and tried to give him a crossface, and it just looked like a wet hug.
Yeah.
Just a
Triple H,
really, really bad version of it. But he does it really well. I know he didn't do it in these matches, but he's got the diving headbutt under his belt. He's a very technical, when Daniel Bryan knees you in the face, you look like you've been kneed in the face.
Yeah.
He's a very different style to Seth Rollins' one or the Kinshasa or anything like that.
Yes, I agree. I never really thought about that, but yeah.
No, it seems pretty fair, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent.
Should we just quickly run through these questions before we go? Because we do need to.
Yeah.
I'll read them out and everyone can give a quick answer. Which match are you looking forward to at Mania?
Moolah Battle Royal.
Intercontinental.
Smoothman?
Lesnar Reigns.
I'm going to say Asuka Charlotte.
No, of course
it's going to be cracking.
Of course, I
Who's
meant
going to win?
Lesnar Reigns, of course. I meant Lesnar Reigns.
Who's going to win the Andre and Moolah Battle Roulette? Battle Roulades. Who's going to win? Who's going to win? Which jobber's going to win them?
Mojo's going to win both.
I've got no, I'm not going to do it again.
Ziggler's going to win the Andre the Giant.
No, he's not. I don't know. We don't really know who's going to be in it. It's always a stab in the dark, isn't it?
Just pick a jobber. Like, they're going to be in it, aren't they?
Heath Slater.
Make him look strong. Yes.
Seriously, no, for Andre, I'm going Heath Slater, and for Moolah, I'm going to give it to Ember Moon.
Yeah.
I'm going to go for the Moolah one. I think it's going to be Becky Lynch, and for the other one that I can't think of, the Andre the Giant Memorial. I think it's going to be Corporate Kane who's going to come back because he probably loses. He'll lose his whatever his mayoral election thing, and he'll come back in his suit and he'll have a whinge and then forever go with it.
That might be a worse prediction than Ziggler.
Oh my god, it's a bold strategy, Matt. Let's see if it pays off.
Smooth one, who do you reckon?
I'm gonna go for an NXT guy for the Andre, and I'm gonna go Almas.
Oh, I like it.
So you reckon he's going to lose the title to Takeover?
Who's he against the Takeover?
Aleister Black.
Yeah, I think it'll be. Almas will get called up. He's already been. He's doing a Ty Dillinger, isn't he?
Yeah, he got caught up in the Rumble, didn't he? And then they'll bring him in at some point.
I think for the Moolah, Carmella.
Oh, okay,
Really?
fair enough.
I don't know. I just think she'll need something to do on the pre-show or at the start of the night, and then we'll try and cash in later, and it'll fail. I don't know.
Can I change my Andre the Giant one, and I'm going to give it to Big Cass. There we go, done.
Oh.
Ooh.
I'm going to go Heath Slater then. I'm picking Heath Slater. I think that was a really good shout. And for the women, I'm going to give it to Bailey
I was going to make a joke.
by eliminating Sasha Banks.
Oh, hashtag serious. Well, at least that means they won't have their stupid 3-on-3 tag matches that are completely for no valid reason. Instead, they'll just throw them into a Royal Rumble and they're their own mini Rumble themselves. Why not have some fun? That sounded really
the last
sexist.
question.
It wasn't supposed to sound sexist, but yeah, sorry.
The last question was: is storytelling dead?
No.
And in its place, is work rate more? What's the word?
Prominent.
Prominent on the main roster. All these questions were sent in by Paul. Thank you, Paul.
Cautious Paul, you legend. He used to be on a podcast with me before, so he's a lovely.
But yeah, is storytelling dead, and is work rate more of an option?
I don't think storytelling is dead, but I don't think it's as important as it used to. It's not Raw and SmackDown every week isn't now a big long sort of. You don't ever get a long story like you used to. Like you've just said that Daniel Bryan, they had him against Triple H for over a year. Other than Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, and the match they will never get a payoff for, which is Daniel Bryan versus Shane McMahon. You've got no long running stories anywhere in WWE. You used to have 4 or 5 big long feuds, and now feuds are the 4 weeks before a pay-per-view, and that's it. And then they move on.
I kind of agree with you. I don't think it's dead in a sense. Obviously, kayfabe's pretty much dead now, and that links in with storytelling.
Yeah.
The one big long storytelling I can think of at the moment was Randy Savage and Hogan, the Mega Powers, because that lasted like a year and a half, and that, from what I can remember, that was the last time it was really long booking, which is surprising because it had Hogan in it. I agree with Matt. I don't think it's dead. It's just not as important, really, which is a shame.
I do love a good story, but yeah, I'm sort of inclined to agree. Storytelling isn't dead, but it's sort of put on the back burner to an extent, and work rate is a bit more. It's not necessarily that important, but
yeah, especially with all the indie stars coming into WWE now.
Yeah, the indie element shifted. The indie element caused a sort of seismic shift in the actual wrestling itself.
Yeah, the indie stuff is you could turn up and understand what was going on. Like the thing that me and Kev went to in Milton Keynes, you could turn up to, you could know the storyline quickly.
Yeah.
The storyline was second to the actual wrestling because British wrestling is the change. I think WWE is thinking, well, storylines aren't that important anymore. Look at how well the indies are doing. And that's where I think they're trying to go with it. But that's not the WWE I love. The WWE I love is that back and forth between The Rock and Stone Cold or Vince for months and months on end.
Yeah.
This idea of, we'll have a feud up till the next pay-per-view and then we'll forget about it as if it never happened is...
I mean, I guess the closest to that for a little while, I don't know whether Matt mentioned it, you might well have done, but I think I've got a fake memory, it's Owens and Zayn, but going back from when they first debuted in NXT up to WWE, where they just hated each other. It's like as soon as one they'd be in the same room with each other, they just start hitting each other, and that would happen every time from every pay-per-view, from every Raw, from every Smackdown, from every house show. If they were in the same ring together, they would just start beating each other up. Doesn't matter who's around them, and that was just consistent all the way through. And I quite enjoyed that.
Consistency.
Yeah,
consistency is the biggest issue. That
booking,
WWE
consistent
has.
Storylines is what's needed.
Because they'll make something up like Bray Wyatt and Sister Abigail against Finn Balor and the Demon, and that never happened because of, thank the Lord, illness. But it was awful. People didn't like it, so they try and make you forget about it. But then they try and bring that continuity back in and say, "Oh, well, Finn Balor and Bray Wyatt had a feud." No, they didn't. They fought for 2 weeks and that's
No
it.
one cared for it. Yeah.
Speaking of this, right? Speaking of Bray Wyatt, and right, okay, I know we're right at the end, and it was something that was on Raw. Why the hell is the match for the Ultimate Deletion on a Raw?
Because you can't say it, mate.
You can't have it on Mania because it wouldn't make much sense. I don't think.
It's pre-recorded anyway, so they can fit it wherever you want.
Yeah, obviously, but it just seems a bit weird. Why just release it as its own entity? Why not do it on the network? Because
And plus, if they have it like you said on a network on Raw, they could build for Jeff Hardy coming back if he does. I know he had all this drink driving recently, whatever it was.
Bit of a setback,
but they could still bring him back for Mania.
Yes.
If they have it on the Raw. And like I said, I don't think it would fit on the Mania.
No,
I'm also going to call now that you know what's going to happen is Matt Hardy's going to win, drag Bray Wyatt into the lake of Retribution, and you are going to get Sister Abigail as the wrestler on Raw going forward, and Bray Wyatt is no longer going to exist, and it's going to be terrible.
You really think?
Yeah,
I think that's where they're going. They obviously you can't bring Jeff Hardy into it, so Bray Wyatt is going into the lake, and he's going to come out as Sister Abigail, and then you're going to have Sister Abigail and Matt Hardy.
No,
and I really don't want that.
No, because the Lake of Reincarnation is stupid. It's a gimmick, so he should come back out as Husky Harris. He should. Seriously, he should come back out as Husky Harris from NXT.
That'd be amazing.
From Nexus. He should.
It would be amazing, but
it won't happen.
Talked about Sister Abigail so much in this feud already. There's got to be a payoff for it, and that's what they're going to do.
And who's gonna? So then you're gonna actually get Bray Wyatt dressed up in a weird costume as Sister Abigail. Is he gonna wrestle in the women's division or what? I mean,
no. I don't think he'll wrestle in the women's division, but him and Matt Hardy will be a tag team, and it'll be Sister Abigail and Woken Matt, and they'll go into a feud. I think they probably wanted Jeff Hardy, but obviously he got injured, and now they realised that they never got the payoff of Sister Abigail versus the Demon, so we're now going to get Sister Abigail we're going to get Sister Abigail out of the Matt Hardy storyline.
Oh yay! I can't wait for that.
Well, that is such a great way to end the show. Thanks, Matt.
Yeah, cheers, mate.
Sorry.
Thanks for the questions, Paul, by the way. Thank you. And if you guys have any more questions, don't hesitate to send us a tweet at badbookerswp. That's it, badbookers. For some reason,
spot on.
Good work.
Bloody hell.
Yeah, I think what we're going to do is we're going to leave it there. But with the Twitter, what we're going to try and do, and we're going to see if we can get a bit of participation with our listeners, and just see if we can get. We're going to put a list of four matches that have happened in the past with WrestleManias, and whichever one comes out with the most votes, we'll have a conversation about. And watch this space for what happens with the predictions from Fastlane.
If we ever figure something.
Yeah.
One most vocal calls, Matt.
But once again, I want to just thank Jack, Chris, and Matt for joining us. I'm Smoothman, which is on Twitter at 80boothman21. Jack?
I am at _TigerFM.
I appear to be at Kangaroo FM. Not difficult.
I am at Manx Chelsea. That's Manx as in someone from the Isle of Man, not Manx as in
Every time.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.